I support a longer school year and a longer school day. So I would support President Obama if he was going to, if some of the stimulus money was going to help provide for a shorter summer, which means you'd go to school longer, and a longer school day. I would see the longer school day with having enrichment programs on top of the academics. I mean, the kids go to school 6.5 hours a day, and it's basically reading and mathematics to teach for the tests and for the way the schools are graded. The focus is on language and mathematics. So a longer school day for me would be an infusion of enrichment programs for students, and then a longer school year, yes.
Can we ask her how she feels about it? How do you feel about it? What's your name?
Melody.
Melody, would you like a longer school day?
No.
Melody, I remember when I was a little older than you are right now, and President Carter proposed doing that. I thought it was a really bad idea. I think that what Sharon said is important. It is also important, and this is discussions that we've had at the state capitol. It's something that obviously would have to come with extra funding so that that it would be possible for the city schools to be able to expand those services. Sorry, it's probably not the answer you're looking for, but we care a lot about improving the quality of education for you and all of your classmates. Thank you so much for coming up.
Thank you, Melody. After that last important question, is there anyone else that has one? Yes.
I have a question actually for you, Representative O'Brien. One of your biggest initiatives at the state has been property tax reform. It was big on your agenda here tonight too, with senior cuts to taxes. I just want to know how you plan on funding those, and how you plan to balance out infusing lower taxes for some people, middle and lower income, as well as seniors, while keeping the budget. Thank you.
Great question. And we, as the state legislature, gave municipalities the power to enact new assessments on blighted properties. And I think that one of the big, as I said before, big initiative I think we need to tackle is anti-blight enforcement. There are a lot of blighted properties in our city, and frankly, their assessments go down because they don't take care of their properties, and they should be paying more for the city services that they're causing for our community. It's an extra revenue source that I think we ought to tap.
And
now, how much?
That's going to actually make up those kinds of differences on those.
How much we can actually do, we need to actually see once we implement it. With the senior property tax relief program, there's money already in the city budget to be able to do that, as we talked about it sitting there. Yes, I believe that we can get enough money so we can implement senior property tax relief, and I believe we can provide relief for all homeowners. How much it is, we need to see based upon how much we can get.
Thank you.
And Mayor Stewart?
Getting back to the senior tax relief program, what the state representative fails to realize is that that's a perpetual cost to cities and towns. If you're going to assess properties for blight because you've enabled the law at the state legislature, what do you do when it's cleaned up? What happens? There's no more additional income coming in for that, because chances are most of those people are going to run away from it when they see the government coming and doing something crazy to your property tax burden. So I don't totally agree with that philosophy. I really don't think it works, and I think with the government's hands in your pockets at every turn, which is what they promote, I think it's going to chase people away from this community and this state.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, the city of New Britain has had a balanced budget for the past 6 years. The Board of Education has balanced its budget for the last 6 years. We've stabilized taxes. Our bonding rating has gone up. And I think that the last thing we want to do at this point in time is to have the city of New Britain taking budgeting and taxation advice from the state of Connecticut.
Well, that last point, I don't think it's worth addressing, but to go,
$2 billion deficits aren't worth addressing?
we are here to engage in a constructive discussion, and I would like to point out that the paras have been here to have a very constructive discussion. I think we've had some good give and take on the issues.
Absolutely, I think so.
Now, where I would disagree with the mayor's point about about anti-blight assessments, I certainly do hope that we can clean up the blighted properties, because guess what? What happens then is that their value goes up, and it means that we'll be expanding our brand list and growing our So what we're talking about with anti-blight assessments is requiring the owners of properties that are allowing their properties to become blighted and their property values go down to pay what their fair share is. I hope that those properties get fixed up, because then they're going to be adding to the grand list, and we're going to be able to better fund the programs that we're talking about.
Are there any other questions in the audience? Yes.
Representative O'Brien, earlier you said that, unless I misunderstood you, you wanted to start building smaller schools. That some of our buildings are too large. I was just wondering what is going to happen to the larger buildings.
Well, we keep using them. And obviously, if they're less crowded, then there's more opportunity for what can happen in the larger school buildings. We need to look at whether there are innovative programs we can do within the larger school buildings. In some other states, for example, they set up whole schools inside of larger school buildings. I'm not saying that that's necessarily what would happen, but we need to talk about it as a community. Once we take advantage of the state program to build interdistrict magnet schools, it presents a whole raft of opportunities for our community. And these are opportunities that other cities have taken advantage of, and we should take advantage of them too.
I don't think anybody will argue the fact that smaller communities, learning communities, are better for students. There's no doubt about it. And I know Dr. Kurtz has tried on several occasions to enact programs to allow kids to be in smaller learning environments. But the reality is that we have facilities, and facilities bring with them operational costs, which are budget constraints. As we looked at the issue of the overcrowding in the high school several years ago, we looked at purchasing other properties. We looked at building new schools and the cost of operations of those schools. And they're enormous. They're enormous to the taxpayers in the community. So while you have to balance all of these issues together when you make a decision like this, and we felt that the best thing to do at that particular time was to build the addition on the back of the high school. And my understanding is that it's worked out quite well to keep the ninth grade academy somewhat segregated from the rest of the population. There's additional schools that we're in the planning phases right now. I've been working with the school board and members of the business community and others to create an alternative high school here. And that's actually, we're hiring a consultant to do this very soon. We've got buy-in, and we've worked, and I made sure that we got buy-in from the medical community, the hospitals, the large institutions here in the city are funding this effort on our behalf. You know, part of the Race to the Top monies that Sharon had referenced before are going to be utilized probably for this particular high school. And it's an allied healthcare career academy. What a better school to provide as a magnet for kids in our community than to provide for a nice paying living wage in a healthcare career in our community. We're going to be able to provide that with the expertise we have right here in the city of New Britain. That's a wonderful thing, and it's going to take some of the students out of this school that is obviously bursting at the seams and provide another opportunity for them. But the other issue on the magnet school things, I want you to know that several years ago we had discussed putting a magnet school, a correct magnet school in the city of New Britain while I was on the school board. And much to the chagrin of some of the people on my side of the aisle, I was probably the biggest proponent of that school. And Mr. Kochel and I, and Peter knows it well, were sitting on the correct board at that time of that particular school. And unfortunately, the state legislature, through some ignorance, I will tell you, did not fund that school. There is actually a foundation under the ground on Barber Road for a school that exists there that should have been built 10, 12 years ago at least. So I know there's future plans to continue those efforts with organizations like CREC to make sure that we have magnet opportunities in the city. But mind you, not everything is 100% fully funded. When the state says that they're going to fund something for you, it ends at some point, and then you end up having to pay for it. So while the programs may sound all well and good in providing different opportunities for our kids, you do have to balance the cost.